welcome to the Book Bunch. My name is Sam. I am back, guys. I took a week off after my live stream because I did a live stream 2 weeks ago instead of a normal video. And then this last weekend I went away to a conference and it was my busiest week of uni for the term. Plus I was actually speaking at the conference too. So I was just overwhelmed and did not have time to do my reading or focus on doing a video at all. So I took the week off. I am back though. I'm going to share with you a little bit of non-fiction in this video. Not the most exciting for a lot of you, I know. But next week I will probably bring out a double video for you guys because I have a little bit of a book haul collecting, and if all my expected books arrive, then I will go ahead and do that book haul next week as well as my normal video next week, which is going to be pirate themed, so get excited for that. What else was I going to say? It is also my birthday tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm going to get any surprise books or anything like that to add to my collection. I already did spend a voucher that I got for books, so that is on its way, but we will see if I get surprised with anything else. Not that I'm expecting anything, just that you never know. Okay, so I'm going to start from worst to best, just so that you guys have to stay to the end. And because I want to really get into this last book with you guys, because it was so good. So the first one is When the Noise Won't Stop. Loved this cover, think it's absolutely beautiful, but didn't love the content heaps. It was okay. It was just kind of average. So I would recommend it, but it's nothing to gush about. I wouldn't be running to the store or anything to put it on my TBR or anything like that, but it was still helpful. It's written by an Australian, which I was kind of surprised about because I rarely stumble upon Australian authors, but he's a pastor who has struggled with mental health himself, anxiety specifically, and he thought he would write a book about it and try and add some theology and also a little bit of science that backs up the theology into it as well. It was more scientific than a lot of the other books that I've read, but that being said, I kind of got it as just more professional development for my degree, and it definitely fit that category. But in terms of just everyday people, I'm not sure that you'd be thrilled by this. But he kind of splits the book up so you can skip bits if you're not interested in certain bits. But he basically talks about a bit about his story and some of the stories of people he knows that are affected by mental health. He also touches on depression in this book as well, not just anxiety. And then he kind of talks about some of the science behind it and then goes into the theology about it, because he's basically trying to, I guess, debunk some of that myth of, oh, you must be suffering this way because you're sinning, or because God doesn't like you, or because of, like, your faith isn't strong enough, that kind of thing. So yes, there is that. If that sounds interesting to you, that is When the Noise Won't Stop. And then there is The Broken Way. I really did enjoy Waymaker by this author, Anne Voskamp, which is why I bought one of her other books, The Broken Way. This one was written before Waymaker, so I don't know if it's just her writing isn't as great as when she wrote Waymaker, because some of the content was quite good. It's just I really do struggle with her writing style, because she's writing non-fiction, but she's writing it in this like stream of consciousness way, which stream of consciousness is fine, but she actually like cuts herself off mid-sentence, and so her sentences aren't always complete sentences, and that makes me a bit crazy because I'm like, what are you trying to say? Like, you didn't finish saying what you were saying. But that is just me. Some people like it. Um, there, I did highlight a couple of bits in this book because there were some like really good quotes from other people in her life that I really enjoyed. But it definitely wasn't Waymaker level for me. Um, but it was still very interesting because she goes more into about her childhood and her own suffering. Again, mental health. All of these books are mental health themed. And yeah, it was just really um, interesting to see how um, like how she is walking with Jesus through that, if that makes sense. But yes, I would love to meet her husband one day because he sounds like from both books, from what I've picked up, and I don't know if it's just because we're only getting snippets or glimpses or whatever, but he sounds like a really nice guy, and I would like to have a conversation with him just because he's got some really good wisdom. Like some of the quotes I have highlighted in here are quotes that he has said, and yeah, I just feel like he'd be one of those people that you'd like to sit down and have dinner with and just pick their brain about stuff. um but yeah, that's The Broken Way. Nothing overly to report. Again, kind of average, um, for me anyway. Then I'm going to talk about Family Ties That Bind, which I only have the ebook version of this. Uh, this one actually was required reading for me for uni. Um, and I found the first like 6-ish chapters. Sorry, I'm getting on. Really, 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 really good. The latter, I think 3 chapters I didn't vibe with as much, but it's just because I think that's kind of where my my relatability dropped off, um, because it starts to talk about like birth order and how that can affect you, and like they do preface like this isn't 100% accurate because everyone is different, but it's more like here are some stereotypes. Um, or like the average person will fit this picture. And I didn't relate to that. And so that part of the book, I kind of fell away. But that first, like, 2/3 was an absolute gem of a read for me. I really liked it as well because at the end of each segment, there's like questions for you to reflect on your own family of origin and how that is affecting you. And I've written down all those questions so that I can go through it at my own pace. But yeah, just having the knowledge was like crazy good. I totally recommend you look into your family of origin and do some work in that space if you can find the time for it, because it really does help put yourself into perspective and just help you to understand things about your family and behaviors and all of that kind of stuff that you might not have before. And it's good for everyone as well, like even people who are okay or like their life is good, it's still good, like it's still just a good exercise to do for self-awareness even if there isn't any earth-shattering stuff there. But yeah, I found that super interesting. I really did enjoy the book. I would recommend it. It is not Christian or anything like these other ones I'm recommending. They actually are written by Christians, but this one is not. So I don't know if that will change your opinion of it or not. It didn't seem to affect me. Like, I didn't think that anything they were saying was contradictory to Christian stuff in any way. But yeah, I do recommend that if looking inward to yourself and your past and your family is something you're interested in doing. And then finally, the one you're all here to hear about is this one, which I gave 5 stars, Good Boundaries and Goodbyes. Sorry you can't really see the title because the glare, but I really love this author. I've gone ahead and bought a couple of her other books with that voucher, because this is my second book of hers, and the first book I read of hers was also a 5-star, which was Forgiving What You Can't Forget. So I don't know, I just resonate with this author so strongly about so many different things, and I always appreciate her insight on stuff. But this talks about boundaries in a whole different way that I hadn't before, and she's also not afraid to say, like, look, there are going to be people in your life where you do need to just walk away from, and it doesn't have to be hateful, and it doesn't have to be like mean or like from a place of resentment or anything. You can do it from a good place, and it can be to benefit the both of you, not just you. And I just found it super helpful. But yeah, even the bit on boundaries I found super helpful, because she made me think about it in a way I hadn't before. And I don't know, I just every word was gold. I've never read such a quotable book before, I don't think. But yeah, she basically talks about, like, boundaries aren't going to work with people if you are setting a boundary that is holding that person to too much responsibility and they aren't willing to put in that responsibility. So when you set a boundary, you need to review how much access you are giving that person to your life. And if they have proven that they aren't responsible enough to meet that level of access and to, like, behave accordingly and respectfully, then you need to bring your level of access down, and how much you are letting them into your life and your personal business and all the rest of it, and also into your heart and your mind, and how they are affecting you, like, by what they're saying and that kind of thing. And so your boundaries should then only be set after the appropriate access level is found. And then she talks about how to do that, and how to define your wants and needs appropriately. And then, yeah, she basically goes on and talks about, like, there are going to be certain people in your life, whether they be abusive or whatever the situation may be, where the level of access you can give them is 0, because they have shown that they're not responsible for more than that. And yeah, how to do that in a very biblical way, and, like, she goes into some theology. And I just, yeah, I resonated with it a lot. I really liked it, and I cannot wait to read some of her other books as well. Definitely highly recommend this author. If you haven't checked her out, go check her out, because she is very good at what she talks about, and she does it with so much, like, in such a spirit-led way, and, like, she doesn't rush it. Like, every book that she writes it slowly over time as she's moving through this herself, and she leans on trusted theologians and her counseling, because she believes that those two go together. And yeah, she very much so puts a lot of the onus on, what does God say? What is God's will here? And, like, she does acknowledge a lot about how big a role God does play in it all, and how a lot of the time it's our job to surrender to Him in that. And that can be hard, and that can involve grief, and that can involve difficult decisions and choices and all of the rest of it. But ultimately, He will be able to heal you, and He will be able to bring you to a better place, if that is in His will. And I just, yeah, find it very good. So go check that out. Definitely a 5 out of 5. I don't often give out 5 out of 5s, I feel like, to nonfiction, just because I rarely agree with absolutely everything that somebody says. But I really did agree with that. But that is everything for today. Bit of a short one, I know. I will try and make it up to you by doing that extra video this week, which will be a book haul, which I know you guys love. And then, yes, we'll follow it up with some pirates. I also have, I believe, a sci-fi planned after that, because there is a sci-fi I need to review. And I've been putting it off because uni's just been getting out of control. But I will be on uni break in 1 week, so I will be able to read that book I've been putting off, and I'll read some other similar books to go along with it. And then I have been requested to do some like fantasy romance recommendations for you all, which is not completely out of my wheelhouse, but I wouldn't say I specifically seek them out. So that'll be a fun experience too. If there's anything you do want to see from me, any recommendations or video ideas you would like to see, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!